Steve Kerr is sponsored by Xfinity. The Xfinity 10G network is made for streaming live sports, which means it's the network you can rely on in the biggest moments. The Xfinity 10G network, the best way to stream live sports, and presented by Great Clips. In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. Great Clips, it's going to be great. I had the whole family over there yesterday, and everybody is looking good. Coach, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic. I'd love for you to take our audience through what happened when Draymond walked back out onto the floor today, and Brandon Pajemski started a round of applause. Why do you think that the team felt compelled to do that?
Well, we love Draymond. You know, Draymond has been such a big part of all this for 12 years, and yes, he's flawed. We all are, but we also know that Draymond is loyal, and he's an unbelievable player, and he will fight for any teammate. And you know, he's beloved in our building. Now, has he done some things that have hurt us? Absolutely, and that's all part of it, and that's, you know, all part of what we have to try to reconcile. But bottom line is just, you know, we love Draymond and we're thrilled to have him back.
I know it's ultimately not your call as to when he plays again, but how's he looking? And in general, what's his countenance like now that he's back with the team?
Well, he loves playing, so he's excited to be back. And, you know, he's been relatively quiet. He was here at our walkthrough 2 days ago. He was in the facility yesterday too, you know, getting a lot of work in. So this is really the third day that he's been around, and he's just, you know, trying to get his work in and trying to get ready. He's been relatively quiet. I think he knows he's coming back in a manner in which, you know, he has to show deference to the group because, you know, of where we are and his part in what's happened in the season so far.
Coach, what is the timeline for a potential return?
Well, we don't know for sure, but he won't play tomorrow, and then he'll go to Chicago with us on Thursday, and we've got a back-to-back in Chicago and Milwaukee. So he'll be on that road trip, and he'll be training every single day and getting as much work in as possible. And, you know, whenever Rick Celebrini says Draymond's ready to go, then he'll be ready to go, and we'll put him in.
How much do you maybe nudge Rick in that direction, considering where the team has been over the course of the last, 13 games since he's been out, teetering around 500? Do you maybe go to Rick and give him that nudge and let him know just how much you need Draymond back?
I really don't, because all of these decisions are based on, you know, player health, and I'm not going to risk anything. I mean, when Rick says he's ready to go and play in an NBA game and compete and help us win, then that's when he's ready. So there's no sense in, you know, trying to push things along.
Coach, when he's ready, is he automatically back in the starting lineup?
Not necessarily. I think we'll decide that when we get there, but you know, we still have a number of games to play before we even get to that point. So we'll see how we're playing and how every individual is playing. We'll just make the decision with all the information that we have then.
What have you been missing without him that you're going to be most eager to get back on the court when he is able to come back and play?
Do you want to take a guess?
Probably his three-point shooting, Steve. Yeah, you're welcome.
I was thinking defense, but yeah, I mean, he is shooting 42% from three. So, yeah, no, but we've got to defend. I mean, we have been just awful defensively since his departure. You know, 27th, 28th in the league, I think, in defensive efficiency, something like that since his suspension started, and. We know Draymond is one of the best defenders in the league, and we need him out there for a lot of reasons, but especially the defense.
As he is every week, Steve Kerr with us here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Coach, your comments earlier today about asking Draymond to just steer clear of the referees. You also mentioned it would be a challenge. How realistic of a request is it?
I think it's realistic. I can't predict what's going to happen, but what we want and what Draymond wants is to be able to compete with the usual emotion and passion that makes him who he is, without crossing the line. And he's done it before. It's not like he goes nuts on the refs every single game. So I've been coaching him for 10 years, and almost every year things have gone exceedingly well. I mean, that's why we've won championships. That's why he's been on all-star teams and all defensive teams. So we know he can draw the line, and that's what we're hoping and expecting.
Invariably, you've had this conversation with Draymond many times in the past. What makes this conversation different and makes you think that now Draymond will be able to control the, quote, antics better?
I think Draymond knows that, his career's on the line. It really is. Based on what's happened over the last year, based on the recent suspension, based on everything that's gone on, I think he recognizes that it is different this time. This wasn't a suspension for getting too many technicals. This wasn't a suspension for one, flagrant foul. This was different. The league really put him on notice. So has the team. He's put himself on notice, and that's what makes this different, and that's why his response has to be what it's got to be.
Coach, I wonder if you'd love to almost set the record straight on something, because I think your comments when you said that night that we're giving him his space and he's giving us ours sort of led to some speculation that maybe the two sides were kind of not on the same page. So I think people's eyebrows went up when they found out when Draymond said Steve came over to the house right away and we all talked. So how would you kind of overall characterize where the two of you have been through this process?
Well, I went to his house in L.A. the day he was suspended. We were playing the Clippers that night, and I went over and we had a very heartfelt, emotional, probably 2-hour conversation in his backyard. And I won't really share what we discussed, but we have a very close relationship after 10 years of doing this together. We are extremely close. And, the whole thing at that point was he's got to get right. He has to get his mind right, his emotions right. And that's the most important thing. And we agreed that he had to handle himself, and he had to handle everything on his own at his own pace, whatever that meant. That's why it was, along with the league, it was, just an unspecified amount of time on the suspension. And the agreement was, I'll give you your space, and you do what you have to do, and we'll stay in touch. And when you're ready to come back, you come back, and that's how it was. And we didn't text every day, but we texted and spoke a couple of times during the suspension. And I was busy, trying to win games. He was busy handling his own stuff. And when I said, we were giving his space and he was giving us ours, there was nothing cryptic about it at all. It was actually just genuine.
And now that he's back, is he just going to, obviously he's going to continue to do the work that he's already been putting in over the course of these 4 weeks. Is it additional resources being utilized from the organization, or is it just applying some of the techniques and the modalities that are already in place from the Warriors that he can now tap into a little bit more frequently?
Well, as you guys might suspect, all of that stuff is private. So he's handling this, both through the Warriors and on his own, and with his representation. And we're very comfortable with the methods and what he's been doing. And he's in a good place, and he's getting ready to come back, and then obviously the plan and the hope is for him to come back and play at a high level and be able to draw the line where he needs to draw it.
Coach, he's admitted now a couple times this week that he contemplated retirement. Do you think that was maybe momentary frustration, or do you think that was actually under consideration?
I mean, he's going to speak his mind. So you guys know this. I mean, Draymond is always going to let you know how he feels. So he was absolutely feeling that way.
Steve, he talked today about being able to get the antics, quote unquote, out of his game. When you hear Draymond talking about antics, what are the things that you think about in terms of behaviors or actions that he needs to eradicate from his repertoire?
Mainly the interaction with the officials. Draymond, I still want him talking trash to opponents. I want him, hyping the crowd up. I wanted him, letting his teammates know when he needs more from them, when we need more from them. All that stuff is positive and leads to winning. But the stuff with the officials is the main thing. And obviously what happened with both Rudy Gobert and Yusuf Nurkic, that can't happen. And he knows that.
Coach Steve Kerr with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Coach, maybe it's the record that's under 500. Maybe it's the specter of what took place last year. But I think a lot of fans look at this group and they're still trying to figure exactly what is the chemistry. So it was interesting to hear Draymond today talk about missing this group because it's a group that loves being around one another. How would you put it into words, the chemistry of this team?
The chemistry of this team is really good. The guys get along great. They really enjoy practice. They really enjoy being together. The issues have really been more basketball related, not chemistry related. And we just haven't been able to find the combinations that have clicked. We haven't been able to get multiple guys performing at a high level at the same time. So our struggles have been related really to basketball stuff, and I'll take plenty of heat as well. We've lost 5 or 6 games that I think we probably should have won, and I could have made better decisions down the stretch of some of those games. So you throw all that together, and we're not where we want to be, but I still believe in the group. I've watched the group, the core of the group win a championship a year and a half ago. I think guys are playing at a higher level individually in a lot of cases right now, barring the last couple games. I'm going to throw those out the window, but I think I think Clay and Wiggs have both played much better over about the past 3 weeks or so than they had earlier in the season. So I think there's still plenty of time to get this together. And like I said, I believe in the group. I believe in the staff, the organization. So I think we're going to get it done.
You mentioned combinations, and a lot of fans are always wondering about Wiggins and Kuminga playing together and how you see that experiment, for lack of a better way to describe it, going. How have you seen that progress? And could Draymond be a key to those two playing together as somebody who can unlock that combination?
Well, the reality is, where we've been the last 3 weeks without Draymond, our defense has really suffered. I think I mentioned it earlier, 27th in the league, something like that. So in theory, you want to get, your two most athletic wings on the floor together for defensive purposes. But we have, a lot of things with this team that we're always trying to accomplish. So while that combination may on paper look like it might do something, it might alter other combinations. It might not work as well in a different area. So, we have the tape and we have analytics, and frankly, both of them have pointed us in the direction of not playing those two together. And it's simple as that. So, it hasn't been very successful. We're trying to win games. We're trying to sort it all out, but we have to experiment, but we also have to be realistic about what we think is going to work.
Coach, interesting comments earlier from you with regard to the burden that is on Steph for this franchise. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, he's been carrying the torch for us for 15 years, but particularly the last dozen years. When the Warriors really became a high level team, and he's the face of the franchise, but he's also the guy who everything runs through. Our system, our style is really based on Steph's unique abilities, and he expends so much energy every night. He's a two-way player. He's a really good defender. We're asking so much of him, to create shots, to guard guys. The other night, we didn't help him defensively in transition, and it was embarrassing. He had Scotty Barnes on him, so there was a cross match. 3 or 4 times in a row, they throw the ball down to Barnes, and we don't have our defense back transition-wise, and Barnes is laying it in. There's got to be help. There's got to be more assistance and more of a team vibe defensively of we're going to protect each other. And so you throw all those things in, just, what Steph does for us every day, what he's been doing for us. And then the burden that comes with, Draymond missing all these games and now the injuries to Chris and Gary. There's just a lot on his plate, and we got to give him more help.
And how do you get that help with CP out now for 4 weeks or so with the broken hand and the burden? It doesn't seem like is going to get lessened on Steph. Where do you turn in terms of trying to find somebody to alleviate some of that burden?
Well, it's not just who. It's not just Chris is out, so how do we alleviate it? It's team defense. You watch that game. I mean, they had 25 points in the first 6 minutes, and we had no focus. We were not alert, nor were we urgent. That's how we have to help Steph. Urgency and alertness, awareness of what's happening on the floor, everybody flying around. The effort has to be dramatically better, and I know that'll come.
Any truth to the rumor, Coach, that you and the 49ers are deep in discussions after what you saw Bob Myers do?
Yeah, that one came out of left field, didn't it? Didn't see that coming. Bob and I talk pretty often, and he did not mention that to me. So that's interesting. Yeah.
By the way, though, speaking of Bob, with Draymond, I think it was interesting to people that it was like Draymond admitted that he's still talking to Bob twice a day, even though Bob's not with the team anymore. Or in a way, is he, Steve?
Well, he's not, but he's incredibly close with all of the key figures in the organization. So, Bob and I still talk. I know Mike and Bob talk every day, and Draymond, Steph. Those conversations continue. You can't just cut off a friendship like that after, so long.
No doubt. And we all were equally surprised to see that news that he was talking to the Commanders. Steve, we're 30 days away from the trade deadline. As a player, how uneasy is it to try to go about your business when especially in this situation, couple games below 500, names are swirling ahead of the deadline? What can a player do to try to block out that sort of a noise?
Yeah, it's hard. It really is. And I'm always, very honest with our players. I try to, prepare them. It's really difficult because, you can't say everything, but you can be as honest as possible and really help your players through it. And it's just difficult when you're going through that, and you've got a family and you got kids in school, especially. To hear your name mentioned in those rumors is really difficult.
Well, Coach, your game tomorrow night is only 24 hours away, and with this early start, we wanted to give you the opportunity to go ahead and just let us know the starting lineup now.
Good one. Yeah, I'm not sure I even know it at this point. So I need more time to think.
That's what we figured, but thought I'd give it a shot. Coach. All right, hey, Coach, great stuff as always. We appreciate your visit. Thank you.
All right, you got it. We'll see you guys.
All right, there it is. Steve Kerr right here on Willard and Dibs.